Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spreck and Disc Golf, the most reliable Pro Tour focused podcast. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Coleman, and we have a great episode on hand for you. Today, we are going to be breaking down the OTB Open and talking about some of the storylines, winners, losers, everything like that, and then the power rankings. I do want to apologize. I've been gone for a few weeks. I've been moving, and so I have not had a great place to record and not a lot of time to do that, but I am back. I'm set up in my new place, so this will just be an audio episode. In the future, we will hopefully get back to doing some video episodes once I get that all worked out. But let's jump right into the OTB Open. It was a great event. This isn't an event I usually am a big fan of. I don't know why. It's just not super memorable for me, or hasn't been in the past. The biggest storyline, I guess, for me in the past of this event was Simon was back and we got the win, but generally don't love this event, but this year was a little different. I was watching it and I really enjoyed it this year. So that was great. The course was playing I think the course played how they wanted to play, and I think the course designer did a great job setting it up, and you could tell what they were doing with each shot and with each hole and what they kind of wanted the results to be, which I think is really important for course design of like intent versus how it's actually played. On the MPO side, we had Emerson Keith take it down with Gannon Burr in second, and then Isaac Robinson, Culver Dolan, and Aaron Gossage all tied for third. On the FPO side, we had Paige Pierce take it down with Owen Scoggins in second, and Emily Beach taking home third place. Just looking at some of the stats that led to the success of the top players, Emerson Keith, he putted really, really solidly at 92%, with 31% from Circle 2, which is certainly not a bad number. And he was keeping it in Circle 1, and when he was making putts, and they were a lot of birdie putts. Second birdie percentage, he avoided the bogeys really well. Only went OB a handful of times, actually, only 3. And he was just avoiding the big number. Put up a really, really hot 12 down second round after a pretty slow 4 down first round. So a very impressive kind of come from behind win for Emerson. Absolutely smoked the course on day 2. And then day 3 put up a respectable 7 down, kind of doing damage control in the last few holes, knowing what number he needed to get to, and just was able to kind of bring it home. He gained strokes putting, he gained strokes tee to green, he didn't drop any big numbers or anything, just doing what you need to do. And I think one of the keys here was he showed up when the big players didn't. When Calvin wasn't there, or he was there but he wasn't playing great, and Simon and Eagle were both playing poorly, and Ricky and Paul weren't there. You don't always have to be ridiculously on to win a tournament. He did have that second round, but overall he just did a lot of damage control, and that works when it's not a sprint, and it wasn't this weekend. So shout out to Emerson playing his game and taking home the win. First Pro Tour win of his career, which is, he's kind of been a mainstay on the tour for a little while. A lot of people know him for his solid performances at Worlds, but now he has that kind of big win behind him. And I feel like he can kind of, I don't know, I feel like it adds a nice touch to his career. Absolutely. So, second place, Gannon Burr. He kind of did a little bit different than Emerson. He shot a 9 down first round and then a really, really rough 1 down second round. If you watched, you kind of noticed, like, he did not look good second round, but he was avoiding disaster, and it really caught up with him on hole 16. Hit first available, had to really stretch around to make the Mando, and then did not know the course, throws it OB, intentionally, essentially. He was trying to throw it where he threw it, but he didn't know that was OB. Next shot, throws it OB again, misses his putt, and then taps in for an 8 on hole 16, and then he goes OB on the next 2 holes, but he does save par on 18. He went OB 7 times during that round, and he... no offense to Gannon, he played some great rounds, but Gannon did not deserve to win this event. I think he got a little fortunate earlier in the second round. He went OB in a couple spots where maybe you can save par, some generous drop zones, but he was not playing well. And I do not believe he was the best player out there this weekend by any means. And I think that 8 was kind of, everything that he'd been, or how he had been playing really caught up with him. So he ended up with first in strokes gained putting, very impressive, 9.2 overall. And then strokes gained C1, he was second. Put a really nice, performance on the putting green together, 97% from C1. But just that OB rate killed him. He was first in birdie percentage, hit the fairway really well, but when you're going OB that much, you are not going to win an event. That's just how it is. So I think this is, he really pushed the course to its limits in terms of going OB, but still shooting good scores. It showed he got a podium. So congrats to Gannon for that. Third place, Mr. Isaac Robinson, who has really come alive in this part of the season, putting together some podiums and, of course, the win at the Major Champions Cup. He shot a really, really solid 10 down first round, and then just kind of 2 slower rounds, a 5 down and a 3 down. Couple OB strokes final round, wasn't really ever, he didn't, when you were watching him, he couldn't really put that, and in rounds 2 and 3 in particular, he really couldn't put that, big streak together, or just like you're watching him and he's just making everything. It was a little streaky, in the second round he started really well, but then he took a double bogey with an OB stroke, then some pars and only 2 birdies on the rest of the round. Just a really kind of rough stretch there. And then final round, a spattering of birdies, a spattering of bogeys, and an overall 3 down to put him into third place. Not a great event from Isaac. I don't think he's going to be super proud of this event, but he did scrape a podium out of it. Again, the field did not look great this weekend. I'm going to be honest. No one really put it together all 3 rounds, and so I think that really made it anybody's game. Next on the podium was Cole Redolin. Nice third place. He's having a good start to his, or just a good year in general. Where he really struggled this weekend was from Circle 2. We saw a lot of opportunities for him to make up big strokes in Circle 2, and he really just could not put it together. He was 73rd in strokes gained from Circle 2, losing 1 stroke to the field. Just some really rough moments for him. In the final round, he took 2 double bogeys in the first 7 holes, and he clicked really well in the back 9. Like, he was killing it on the back 9. He birdied the last 3 holes twice, which, as you know, is the toughest stretch. But just never really put it all together, which is a bummer. I think this was probably his best chance of the year at picking up a win. But I think if you're Cole Redolin, you're a super young player, you're still developing, you've gotten yourself into the podium now, and everything's kind of out in front of you, right? I don't think you have huge expectations yet, especially with what Gannon's done. Like, the pressure is now a little bit on Gannon. You're kind of a little more forgotten, and you can kind of continue to develop and work in these podiums. And I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he will eventually pick up a Pro Tour win, and quite a few of them. He has a very bright future. He's still kind of learning. We see some mistakes that are characteristic of a young, newer player, and those will kind of dissipate, and he will be a mainstay on the tour for a long time to come. Last tied for third was Aaron Gossage, who had a really, really disappointing weekend because he was the one guy that it looked like was putting it all together. He shot an 8 down first round, a 9 down second round, and then he was 6 down through the front 9 in round 3. Looked like it was going to be his event, and then he shot an abysmal 5 over on the back 9 to only shoot 1 down. He took 3 OB throws all on the back 9. Really, really struggled from Circle 1, putting 42% C1X in the final round, and just with some really embarrassing moments on the putting green. He was first in strokes gained tee to green, just could not put it together on the putting green. He lost 5 strokes to the field. That was 94th overall in putting. Super, super rough for him. We saw a couple of 3 putts, just really, really rough. If you're Aaron Gossage, you had a kind of rough start to the year, as I mentioned in a previous video, and I don't know how he feels about this event because, you could look at it as, all right, I'm on the podium now, kind of pressure's off a little bit, but I don't imagine he's feeling that way because he's probably thinking to himself, I should have won that event. Like, Aaron Gossage at one point was the heavy favorite to win that event if you looked at the UDisc win percentage probability. And he threw it away. Honestly, he threw away this event. You cannot take those. I mean, if he just shoots even on the back 9, I believe he wins this event, or at least ties for the win. He just needed to put up a birdie, just a birdie, keep it clean, keep it in the fairway, put yourself closer to the basket. But he kind of lost all confidence in the putting green, and I lost confidence in him because you could see he was struggling so much. Like, he stepped up to anything outside 20 feet, and you didn't feel good that he was making it. So we know Aaron Gossage is super talented. Like, this event, he kills it every year at this event. But I think if you're Aaron Gossage, you do kill it every year at this event. This is the one you got to kind of try to go out and win. And he put himself in a spot to win, and he did not kind of bring it home. So disappointing from Gossage. But look to see him improve from that. Going to the FPO side, we had Paige Pierce take it down. She was fantastic this weekend. First in C1 in regulation, first in C2 in regulation, first in birdie percentage, third in fairway hits. That fairway hit is the big number for her because, when we see her playing not well, she's kind of spraying it all over the place. But she was great from hitting the fairway. She was solid on the putting green at 80%. And she put up a ridiculous 12 down second round. Kind of similar story to Emerson Keith. 7 down, 12 down, and then 6 down. And overall just, never looked like she was going to lose this. Great event from Paige Pierce. Looks like her injury is a little more under control. Next up, Owen Scoggins, doing what Owen does, putted 90% from circle one, kept it in the fairway, and only a few bogeys on the weekend with only 3 OB throws. She was first in strokes gained putting and just snuck up into the podium. Never really looked like she was going to win it, but, if you're Owen, a good event from you because, you snuck back onto the podium. I guess not snuck onto the podium. Owen's consistently on the podium, but you're back on the podium. Owen doing Owen things. No surprise there. Next up is Emily Beach. We've seen her on the podium a few times at, I believe, DDO and D-Glow. This weekend she looked solid. Again, I don't think she was ever really in contention for the win, but she putted well. She scrambled well, and she hit the circles quite often and did enough to get up into the podium spots. Just a really rough second round, which kind of kept her from pushing closer to the lead, but I don't know if anyone is beating Paige Pierce this weekend. Alrighty, going on to some storylines. We got Eagle and Simon both missed the cash. I imagine this is the first time that has ever happened. They are just too talented to be down that far, especially an event that Simon won last year, and that Eagle, this event sets up really well for his game. They should not be missing cash. This should be an event they're competing at, and we can call this a little blip on the radar because I do not expect this to be anything indicative of their season to come. Just a little bit strange. The top European women were not at this event, which was a little bit of a bummer. We did not see Henna, Evelina, or Kristen at this event. They are all back in Europe, I believe, right now. So it was a little bit of a bummer, but good to see Paige back on top. On that kind of same note, no Paul or Ricky. Paul, I believe, is heading over to Europe for his first few events, and Ricky is still dealing with the Lyme flare-up. So all the best of luck to Ricky, and I look forward to seeing Paul start to play those European events. So moving on, we haven't done power rankings in a bit. I forgot to do them 2 episodes ago. Last episode, I didn't end up uploading, some issues with it. But I'm really excited about them. On the MPO side, actually we'll start with FPO. FPO, Kristen Tatar, number 1, number 2, Holland Hanley, number 3, Katrina Allen, number 4, Owen Scoggins, and number 5 is Kat Merch. I don't think Paige quite sneaks in there yet. I think one more good event and she's up there. But Kat just came off her first, coming off her first ever Pro Tour win at Jonesboro. I got to keep her there for at least another week, and Paige with her inconsistencies. Don't think quite sneaks up there yet, but I think next week if Paige has another good event, I think we'll see her back into the top 5. On the MPO side, no surprise, Calvin Heimberg, number 1. Number 2, Gannon Burr. Number 3, Isaac Robinson has jumped Kyle Klein into the 3rd spot after some really good events. Kyle Klein in 4th. Simon Lizotte and Eagle McMahon stay at 5-6. James Proctor at 7. Ezra Aderhold at 8. Anthony Barella at 9, and new to the top 10 is Mr. Vino Makala with some really, really good finishes as of recently. I'm sad I've had some issues with the previous episode because I talked a little bit more about why Vino's having such a good season, but overall he's beating guys like Chris Dickerson. He's beating Paul McBeth this year. He's beating Conrad. Like, he's beating these players consistently enough that he deserves to be up there. And he has strung quite a few really solid finishes together in a row now. UDisc has him all the way down at 20, and I think that is doing a huge disservice to Vino, because if you go and look at just the Pro Tour point standings, you can see that he is not only having a much better finishes than those, kind of mid top level guys, but he's also finishing better than some of the top level guys at some events, and that's what you have to do to move up into the top 10 there. So Vino's gone 9th, 15th, 7th, 8th, a really solid stretch, and then throw in a 6th place there at Open at Austin. And if you look at some other guys, Chris Dickerson has gone 9th, 11th, 15th, a little bit of a downslope, didn't play OTB. Guys like, Joel Freeman have gone 9th, 24th, 34th. Nicholas Antala has gone 16th, 2nd, 15th, 13th. Like, they're not being as consistent into this top 10 as Vino has, and I think it is time we throw Vino up into that top 10. He deserves it. He's a fantastic player. He's having the best season of any of the European players, I believe, and I think he rightfully deserves that top 10 spot over a couple of these other guys that we might expect to be up into that top 10, but have not been having the years we expect out of them. All right, that is going to wrap it up. A little bit of a shorter show, but it is good to be back. I cannot wait to come at you guys for the next episode. It will be the Portland Open preview show, and then I will do probably a special episode about the Cascade Challenge, Cascade Classic, Cascade Challenge, I think, because I will actually be in attendance for that one, so I will have hopefully some more of the inside scoop for you guys on what goes down at that event. But until then, go check out our social media. We are on Twitter and Instagram, and as always, go give our home platform, spreckensports.com, a look if you want to talk about live sports in real time with other fans. I'm your host, Zachary Coleman, and I will see you guys on the next episode.